This is the weekly sales meeting for March 22nd, 2026. My name is Chris Fleming. You can reach me at chris@cdmediaconsulting.com or go to our website at cdmediaconsulting.com. Today's topic, how you do one thing. In a recent one-on-one meeting, I found myself working with a seller who lacked both the discipline and the habits to be successful. We were attempting to work on the course corrective plan when I spotted a tell. The tell was that she would get to a certain point and stop. Rather than push through the adversity, she would throw her hands up and jump to the next fire. Her day was full of starts but no finishes, full of motion but no progress. She was busy, yes, but not effective. And that's when I said it. How you do one thing is how you do everything. It hit her, and it should hit you too. T. Harv Eker is a motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and author. He is best known for his book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, where he explores how mindset dictates habits. He teaches that thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, and actions lead to results. And in that book, he drops one of the most powerful truths in sales, yes, and in life. He writes, how you do one thing is how you do everything. It sounds simple, but it's not soft. That one line calls out the patterns we think no one notices. It exposes the habits we thought we were hiding. And in the world of outside sales, where our habits shape our outcomes, it is not just an observation. It is a diagnosis. Let me explain. You don't fail because of one blown sales call. You fail because of the lazy preparation before it. You fail because of the habit of winging it. You fail because you skip the research. Because you tell yourself, I'm better when I'm off the cuff. You're not. That is not intuition, that is avoidance dressed up as confidence. And it's not just the preparation, it is the follow-up, or the lack of it. You say you care about the close, but you leave deals hanging. You promise to follow up by Friday and then ghost. You send a vague check-in instead of setting a clear, confident next step. And you tell yourself it doesn't matter, that no one notices. But they do. Your prospects notice, your manager notices. The results are evident because how you follow up reflects how you operate. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you cut corners in one area, you'll cut them in others. If you avoid discomfort during outreach, you'll avoid it when it's time to negotiate. If you bury yourself in busy work to avoid prospecting, you'll do the same when a deal's on the line. And if you keep jumping into the next fire instead of solving the one in front of you, the issue isn't your calendar. It is your habits. It is not time that is your enemy. It is your patterns of behavior. These patterns are telling on you every day. You don't have a time management problem. You have a habit problem. Your habits are your results in disguise. I am not a better seller because I have better skills. I am a better seller because I have better habits. It is these disciplines that help me on days when I'm not 100%. Habits that matter aren't flashy. They are not Instagrammable. They are quiet, repetitive, consistent. They are about doing the small, boring things daily so you can do the big, impressive things quarterly. Let's talk about which habits should make the cut. We will also talk about which ones will cut your career short. The first of which is to finish what you started. Half-finished follow-ups, half-written proposals, and half-hearted outreach are career killers. In selling and everything else, half measures don't move the needle. Starting strong doesn't close business. Finishing does. The seller I was coaching had the habit of quitting just shy of the breakthrough. Every time we get to a sticking point, she'd pivot to a new task. She had files open everywhere. Notes scribbled on Post-its. Nothing was closed, nothing was consistent. That is not just disorganization. That is avoidance. She didn't have a productivity problem, she had a discomfort problem. The hard truth is this, if you bail every time something gets hard, you'll never cross the finish line. And if that's how you handle tough calls, that's how you handle tough quarters. You won't course correct. You'll bail and blame the market, but your results aren't the market. They are your mirror. As Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Plan, but do not overplan. Planning is not prospecting. Organizing your pipeline is not growing it. Yes, structure matters, but when structure becomes a substitute for selling, you are in trouble. We've all seen it. The seller who is always getting ready. They've got color-coded folders. Their CRM notes are immaculate, but ask them how many new contacts they reached out to this week, and you get crickets. That is not a strategy. That is a stall. One seller I worked with had a pipeline packed with names, but none of them had moved in months. He was polishing his plan while the competition was picking up the phone. He thought he was being thorough. What he was really doing was hiding, and that hiding was costing him deals. How you plan is how you perform. If you overplan and underact, you'll always be one step behind the market. So here's the fix. Limit your prep. Time block it, then move. Act, reach out, follow up, take the risk. Motion without contact is theater. Progress demands collision. Own your own follow-up. Follow-up isn't a favor, it is your job. It is not a maybe, it is a must. You don't get credit for a great presentation if the follow-up is weak. You don't build trust if you vanish after the presentation. You don't get the deal closed if you let them go cold while you circle back later. Make it a rule. Leave no loose ends. End every meeting with a confirmed next step. Don't make a suggestion, get a commitment. Confirm the time, the date, and the deliverable. If it is worth pursuing, it is worth pursuing with structure, because how you follow up is how you are perceived. Are you a professional or passive? Are you buttoned up or sloppy? Are you worthy of business or not? Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. John C. Maxwell said you'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. That applies to follow-up. Make it sharp. Make it consistent. Make it part of your routine, not an afterthought. Because if you are loose there, chances are you are loose elsewhere. Your buyers notice. Follow-up reveals discipline. It shows whether you are serious or just checking boxes. It is not about effort, it is about execution. The seller who follows through builds trust. The one who doesn't sows doubt, and doubt kills deals before they even begin. Don't let your mood dictate your effort. Your sales goal doesn't care how you feel. Your buyers don't either. Neither does the market. If you only work when you feel inspired, your pipeline will be empty. If you only prospect when you're in the zone, you won't have a zone for long. Discipline is more important than mood. Look at the top performers in sales. They don't wait for motivation. They show up, rain or shine. They prospect when it's hard. They present when they are tired. They follow up even after hearing no 5 times. That is not talent. That is a habit. It is the habit of separating emotion from execution. Your job isn't to wait for the perfect mood. Your job is to move the needle, regardless. So the next time you think, I'm just not feeling it today, stop right there. Do it anyway. The way you show up when it's tough, when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or uncertain says everything about the kind of seller you really are. Champions aren't consistent because they feel great. They are consistent because they choose action over excuses every time. Protect your first 90 minutes. The first 90 minutes of your day shape the rest. If you start in your inbox, you are reacting. If you start on social media, you are drifting. If you start in your CRM tweaking notes, you are stalling. Start with action. Make your first 90 minutes sacred. Block time, reach out, make contact, stack some early wins. When you begin your day by creating motion with intention, you build confidence, and confidence builds consistency. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. One seller I worked with made this shift. She used to start her day easing in. She would check her email, she would reread notes, then she would busy herself getting ready. Today, she begins with her top 3 prospects. She doesn't email them, she calls them. She's focused on closing, not just staying busy. Her close rate jumped, not because she added more hours, but because she started with what mattered most. That is the power of habit. Protect your most important time. Use it to do what you actually get paid to do, and that is to move the needle. Everything else can wait. Don't confuse motion with progress. Because you are busy doesn't mean you are effective. We have said it before, but it bears repeating. We see sellers with packed calendars and empty pipelines. You have meetings all day, but no momentum. Tasks checked off, but no deals closed. Activity feels good, but it doesn't always drive outcomes. Here is a challenge. Stop measuring effort. Start measuring movement. At the end of each day, ask what moved, not what did I touch or what did I work on. Think about what is actually advanced. Was a decision made? Was a relationship deepened? What was the next step secured? If not, you weren't effective. You were just busy. And if that's how you are showing up in sales, odds are you are showing up that way elsewhere too. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. Say it publicly and loudly. Declare your goals. Declare them out loud. Out loud and in front of your team, your manager, and yourself. There is something powerful about public accountability. It turns wishes into commitments. It transforms intentions into expectations. Want to build a better habit? Say what you are going to do and then prove it. Don't just say, I need to prospect more. Say, I'm making 15 new calls today. I'm booking 3 meetings this week. I'll report back on Friday. That is how you build pressure that works in your favor. That is how you make it real. Beware of excusing the exceptions. You were late once, no big deal. You missed one follow-up, it happens. You phoned in the prep, just this one time. Be careful. Those just this once moments become patterns fast. And once it's a pattern, it is a habit. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you start excusing sloppy effort in small places, it will creep into big ones. If you cut corners on little stuff, you'll eventually cut corners on the deal that matters most. Tighten it up, especially when no one is watching, because the habits that shape your success are built in the quiet, not on the stage. Here is the final truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That quote comes from James Clear in his book Atomic Habits. He sums it up perfectly. Systems are habits, and habits are choices you make every single day. You don't get to claim high standards and then show up late. You don't get to say you care and then skip the follow-up. You don't get to say you are elite and then prepare like a rookie. Your actions either confirm your ambition or expose your excuses, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And now this is your challenge. Look at how you operate. Don't only look at your selling, but look at how you carry yourself. Are you precise with your words? Are you early for meetings? Are you consistent with outreach? Do you prepare with purpose? Do you finish what you start? If not, change it. Start with one thing, tighten it, own it, and then let it ripple outward. The sooner you align your habits with your goals, the sooner your results will follow. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. My new book, Double Your Revenue, is now available on Amazon.com. If you like what you have heard here today, please consider ordering a copy or two. You can always send one to a friend. Go to cdmediaconsulting.com right now and follow the instructions to order.